Hello and welcome to another edition of The Buck Stops Here. I'm Catherine Murray. The goal of my program is to provide informed, fact-based discussions about the matters that impact Canadian businesses, both large and small, the markets, and your money. Certainly, we've seen some industry groups really hard hit by COVID-19, including the restaurant companies, gyms, and also clubs. I wanted to take a look at these beautiful visuals we have of the Cambridge group of clubs. Well, the Cambridge group of clubs includes a couple of key clubs that the Bay Street elite do join and get together and discuss deals and business. That, of course, is the Cambridge Club. Also including in this group is the Adelaide Club and the Toronto Athletic Club. Joining me now is Clive Caldwell, the founder, CEO of the Cambridge group of clubs. Clive, great to see you and wonderful to see those visuals. I feel like it makes me want to get back into the gym, into the clubs, and to do it as soon as we're done taping as well. So welcome and thanks for being here.
My pleasure, Catherine. Great to be here.
Thank you. And it's interesting that we seem to be moving forward as it relates to, really being able to get back to business, back into the clubs with needing to show a vaccine receipt. Before we get to that, though, maybe walk us through what it's been like over the past 18 months for you and your team.
Well, as I've said to many friends and members and associates over the 18 months, there's been really two problems for us. And the first has been the fitness problem, and it's been a worldwide problem, the heavy breathing associated with it, the proximity of people. And so gyms have been shut down for, probably half of that time you weren't even allowed to reopen. But just as big, if not really a bigger problem for us, is our clubs are in the financial district. And really, it's not just the Bay Street environment, but it's financial districts all over the world have been emptied. And so it's really been more difficult for us that there's nobody in these downtown towers and they're just beginning to come back. So that's been the challenge that we've had over the last 18 months. And we have not been open for a minute until just after Labor Day we reopened.
And what's it been like since Labor Day?
Well, it's slow. I mean, I don't know, Catherine, if you've walked the path and been down in these towers, it's still pretty quiet, but it's starting to come back. And we've reopened, I think by the end of this month, we're going to have about 1,000 members. But when we closed, amongst the three clubs, we were 6,500 members. So we've got a ways to go, but the members have been thrilled that we've reopened. The staff are thrilled, and it's really been a great start for us.
I was actually walking on Bay Street about 2 weeks ago or so, going to a meeting in person, which was fantastic. Yeah. And it felt so great. And I'm sure it's going to, for those 1,000 people, it feels so amazing. But people don't even know how great it feels because it just has been so long.
It's really true. And the comments and the compliments have just been pouring in for all of us. And so it's really been quite an uplifting experience. Exactly as you said, people are just thrilled to be back. And they're also thrilled that we're a very, very safe environment. And that's been very, very helpful as well.
And I only have 10 seconds in this segment, but in terms of some of the protocols that you've employed, what would be the number one factor?
We came out about 6 or 8 weeks ago and said to all of our members and staff, you must be fully vaccinated. And we were sort of on the leading edge of that. And the members and the staff have responded extremely well.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll pick up on that point. We'll be right back.
Right.
So, Clive, we were just talking about the view that you have and for your team that everybody needs to be double vaxxed. And right now in Ontario, we're going to be rolling out, of course, the need to show your vaccine receipt. What do you think that might do in terms of really bringing people back to the gyms and back to downtown? I mean, do you have a sense of what this might mean?
Yeah, I think it can't be anything but helpful. There seem to be a lot of anti-vaxxers out there, but the governments are now finally saying that you're going to have to be vaccinated to go into almost to participate in normal life again. So I think it's still going to take some time. I don't think it's all going to come back in the next 30 or 60 days. I do think these towers are going to repopulate, but I think it's going to be a while before the people really all come back to the downtown core. And I think the same thing to gyms around the country.
Well, the one thing about COVID-19, it's pretty amazing, and you'd probably know this better than I or know it, certainly. I do work with a trainer, and he's told me through doctor friends that the majority of their patients, like majority, over 50%, have gained over 30 pounds.
Well, I'm not sure about those numbers. That's quite a number.
It is a number.
But that's quite a number. But I think there's no doubt. I think that everyone has felt that they've got to get back. They've put on weight. One of the things that we did while we were closed, we did quite a bit of virtual training. And, it was a very successful part of what we did as we were trying to claw our way back. So there was a lot, but I think your trainer is correct. There's been a lot of weight gain over the past 18 months.
Yeah, so when they come back, they're going to be coming back a lot, and maybe even more than 6,000. I'm curious, though, and we're going to get to kind of what's been helpful or not from a government perspective as well, but I want to ask, from the gym perspective and the experience, how are you making it safe in addition to the double vaxxers? Like, what can people expect when they go?
Well, the number one thing is the number of people that are allowed. So it's about 50% of where we were, which hasn't been a problem for us. There's just a much greater cleaning. We're showing and making sure the proper spacing is maintained. But I think it's the vaccination that has caused most of our members to feel that much more comfortable, including the older people. And when I say older, people that are sort of over 60, they've been remarkably supportive and upbeat about the fact that we've done this, and they just feel so much more comfortable to come back.
And are all your clubs open?
All of our clubs are open, exactly.
Okay. And I'm curious as well, what's the protocol for wearing masks or not? I mean, when you're working out, I think
you don't have to wear a mask when you're working out.
Okay.
You don't have to wear a mask when you're eating. You're in the dining room. We have food and beverage in all of our clubs. You don't have to wear a mask when you're in the wet areas and you're showering but all the saunas and the steams and the whirlpools are all reopened. We've got more staff cleaning equipment all the time. So it's a constant effort to make everyone feel safe.
And so what is that then like from a cost perspective, Clive? And I'm asking as well in the sense that, we're looking from an economic perspective at higher inflation numbers and, whether that's because of supply chain shortages, increased demand, lack of inventory. That's one side of the equation. The other side of the equation is what some people are concerned about, which is wage inflation. Do you see that? Is that a concern? Because it sounds as though as well you need to have more people in some ways, even though it's less capacity.
Yeah, we don't quite have to have more people because we have less members coming back, but we have a full complement of housekeeping staff, and they're doing a lot of work in that regard. Our food and beverage situation is challenges getting food, getting things, and keeping it in a reasonable pricing, and a little bit of wage increases as we've moved forward. But we've been very fortunate being able to find a lot of good people, both many coming back and a few others. And I think our reputation over the years has helped us that it's a nice place to work.
So even though we've seen these government serve programs keep people at home collecting, checks in some circumstances, You hear that in the United States, you hear it in Canada.
You do. There's no question.
No question. How has it been at hiring?
Again, it's been not so bad for us, but I sure hear it all over the place. People are having difficulty, particularly in the food and beverage business. and finding good servers that want to come back to the industry. There's no doubt those are challenges in today's world. And I think part of the challenge is some of the restaurant jobs are difficult jobs. They're long hours and they're difficult, and people don't want to go back to them. But for us, it's actually worked out remarkably well so far.
I'm glad to hear that. Clive,
Thank
nice
you very
to
much.
see you. Thank you. We'll speak to you soon. Well, as we know, COVID has impacted so many businesses and industries, and arguably one of the hardest hit industries has been hospitality and entertainment. And there are still so many uncertainties about how our favorite restaurants and event venues will not just survive if they have, but also thrive. Who better to get perspective on this and where we are actually at right now than the founder of Peter and Paul's Hospitality Group, Peter Eliopoulos. The company was started in 1982 and is entering its 40th year this coming May. It grew from the ground up and now includes restaurants to gorgeous venues, hosts stylized corporate events and weddings, and has vast catering services. And of course, Peter and Paul's Gifts. Peter, welcome. So nice to be able to catch up with you and get your perspective. I'm sure it's been a really tough 18 months. So welcome, and just give us big picture. How has COVID impacted you and your company?
Well, thank you for having me. And it's important that we tell the public a little bit of what's going on, because we should be doing more of this stuff. So thank you. Listen, for us, I mean, you said it in your own words that the hospitality business has been devastated, and it started right from the beginning, and nobody knew what was going to happen, how long it's going to last, and this thing is continuing. And it's still, I feel that people like the government and the people around, that we could have been doing something more, like to accommodate our business. So for us, I mean, it's we've been shut down for a long time, and the government is helping a little bit here and there, but I mean, they're shutting down, and we still had to keep our doors open. We had to, pay our staff, and so it's been like really, really, really hard for us. Plus, dealing with all the functions that were booked like 2 years before, that we had to postpone. Find new dates for them, and that was like devastating for our staff and everything else.
Right, one can only imagine. Peter, I wonder as well, though. I think that when we got the vaccine and things began to open up, there's so much hope that you and your industry should kind of be starting to rally. But there's different, and this is where it gets so difficult. There's so many different government policies surrounding the vaccine, highly debated, of course, in terms of who should get vaccinated, who doesn't need to be. What's going on in your industry that's actually not necessarily helping your industry get to the next side?
Well, we saw a dramatic change from when they made the announcement to what was going on before. So, look, it's something that people, like, nobody really knows, like, exactly how and what. I just wish that they would have called their hospitality key people in Toronto and asked for our opinion, asked for our, like, how we can, they can help us, and how can we accommodate the whole thing, because it is very serious, what's going on out there. I want to keep everything very safe, and that's 100%. So, because that's priority number one. But, the vaccine is something that I guess it's a way of getting people vaccinated, and it's a good thing, and I just want to get back to normal as quickly as possible.
But Peter, isn't one of the issues, though, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a standard for the patron who needs to be vaccinated, but the employee not necessarily so, and that causes some issues in terms of planning?
Yeah, that's 100%. And the way we're dealing with that is that the companies that want everybody vaccinated, which I don't blame them, then we would have to accommodate and pick people from our company that are vaccinated and eliminate people that are not vaccinated that day. So, it's a tough question. It's a tough thing. I mean, I cannot, we employ a lot of people, and I don't think I'm in a position where I would force anybody to get vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
We can recommend, we have a thing happening next week, and but I don't think I can be in the position at this point that I can say, look, I want everybody vaccinated, otherwise you're not going to make the work.
All right, we're going to pick it up on the labor point when we return. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Peter, I do want to pick it up on the labor issue, because we're hearing a lot about labor shortages. What's it like in the hospitality industry right now in terms of trying to get people back to work?
So besides, we're looking for customers. So we've been looking for customers for a long time. Now it's like we opened up, and to give you an idea, one of our steakhouses, the David Duncan House, is we cannot open the whole place up because we have no staff. I mean, when we opened up, we had to make a decision: are we going to do the patio or are we going to do the inside? We couldn't have both things open. So the labor is a big problem, and it's getting worse because the places are getting busier, including our venues and stuff. But then labor is very important. To give you an idea.
Yeah, well, give me an idea, but how do you explain the shortage? I mean, is it because of the payments, the government payments? What's going on?
Yeah, that's definitely. I mean, the government needs to stop paying the people to stay home. Okay, so there's a comfort level that people have been doing for the last year and a half, 2 years now, and he's paying them to stay home. Some people are, and the fact is that the fact that we were closed for such a long time, people they got other jobs, a different industry. Mm-hmm. Some of them are coming back, and some of them are also coming back, and they're saying, look, they want to collect the government subsidy, like the government that is paying them, and at the meantime, make some extra money on the side, which is terrible. So the government needs really to stop paying the people and say, look, get off and go back to work.
Yeah. Peter, I also want to get your take as well. That's obviously another headwind for the industry, but also talk to us a little bit about what you're seeing on the inflation front. I mean, of course, in business, we're watching the U.S. 10-year yield climb higher. We're seeing WTI oil hit a 7-year high. The U.S. Federal Reserve saying that this is transitory. You're in business. I mean, you've got a real business. What is the reality of inflation? Is it sticky? What are you seeing?
Well, our business, I want to say it again, it's probably the worst that is of all the business it's got ever hit, because from the beginning we're facing with different stumbling blocks, and now this thing about price increasing. I mean, we're talking food anywhere from 25 to 100% of increase, and I'm not just using these numbers. This is reality. Labor, the same, off the roof, because people are coming back, says, you want me to work? Okay, I need more money. So it's gotten through the roof. And the thing is that there's parties, the weddings, let's say that people have booked, we can almost say 4 years ago. And that the party was supposed to happen 2 years ago or a year and a half ago. And now, my contract says that I can increase the price per person. But you know what? I mean, we're not in that. So we're trying to make things happen. I mean, mm-hmm. We're opened up. basically, I mean, we're losing money opening our doors because of the inflation of what's going on. So it's ridiculous, ridiculous.
Yeah, understood. We only have about a minute left, Peter, so I just want to get your thoughts. Just, the fact that you've been in business 40 years, coming up in May 2022, obviously you know how to get through tough times. You are an entrepreneur as well, obviously. What are you thinking now in terms of your business strategy and outlook, and any kind of words of advice to others in your industry who aren't, at the same level that you are?
Well, listen, we need to accept that this thing is it's gonna be here. It's not gonna go away. It's gonna stay, and we need to readjust and to rethink and to recreate things, different ways of doing business. We need to get back to what we do, like hospitality, and be able to give to people and entertain people and get it back into a party mood and put this thing behind us in a new way. So, and the other thing is that the customers, they should, patronize, their neighborhood restaurants, their favorite restaurants, and looking forward of moving forward. I mean, and put this thing behind, because it's been terrible.
Yeah. It has been, for sure. Peter, appreciate your time today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.